Welcome back, friends. I am visited by Johnny Jimenez, the owner of the Toy Shack and expert collector and toy knowledge base lore master extraordinaire. How you doing?
How's it going, Tracy?
It's pretty good. I have the good fortune of getting to meet Johnny in my short time here in Las Vegas. A wonderful fella and definitely one of the premier experts in vintage toys and even contemporary toys. He's got a booth right over here with the Toy Shack, and I had some questions for you.
Yeah, of course.
And
Shoot away.
I could just have a regular conversation with you on a the daily basis. But for the audience, I'm really curious about what's the most valuable toy you have now on sale and offer at the Toy Shack, or also the most valuable toy you've ever come across and handled.
Oh, wow. Well, it changes from week to week at the store, but I mean, currently we have like the Atomic Energy Lab that has radioactive material. It came out in the 50s. It was had uranium and plutonium inside of it.
That was okay. So, it is for the history lesson there. That was like this huge uranium plutonium rush that people would drive around in the desert with Geiger counters trying to find loads. And it was.
And they had no idea what, you know.
The kids' faces getting melted off.
Exactly. Little kids are holding it with their bare hands. They had no clue what the hell it was.
Oh.
But, I mean, it changes from time to time. Like we had some Lily Letty figures from Mexico, you know, and some were in the $4,000 to $8,000 range. And
the Lily Letty was that not they were the Mexico license for Star Wars?
It was like the Mexico Kenner. So they had the rights to produce the figures, but. It's kind of they were the legit Mexico figure, but they look kind of bootleg. You know what I mean? But
the plastic was a little off color.
Yeah, like the Stormtrooper had red arms. So it made no sense. But
before the Beatbox Trooper was a thing.
Yeah, exactly. But we get. I mean, even currently, it changes from day to day. But it's usually these huge collections that just come in. But they can range anywhere between $10,000 to $20,000. We'll pay for these collections, and then. Usually when it's the higher end stuff, we fly through it pretty quick. But, in the past, though, I mean, there's been some high-end Lionel trains that, can get upwards of, 10, 20 grand. So it's constantly evolving. And in the industry, now because of these old employees are realizing, that, the stuff that they worked on 30, 40 years ago or 50 years ago, how much they're worth. So some of those are coming to market, and some of those are here at the show, which is pretty amazing.
When I was looking at kind of your overall collection of stuff and, the Toy Shack and online last night, I was doing a little bit of research, and I kind of went down this rabbit hole of, as you say, of prototypes.
Yeah.
And this is a really big thing right now is that, going through and finding all of the licensed prototypes that never were there were these crazy awesome Dark Crystal ones that were only they only had one or two models made.
My favorite thing is when you get these off the hands of some of the designers that are still around today to hear this is why we changed it or this is why they didn't want this, and a lot of times it's because the manufacturer wanted to save a few dollars, but even
the ink price went up. And
it's crazy. Like even I was talking to an old Tonka designer, and each rivet they calculated that each rivet on a Tonka truck in a year span is like $100,000.
Oh,
what
wow.
it cost the company. And this is not currently. This is like back in the '60s. So to save rivets and to save little.
So they redesign it so that the metal folds together instead of being riveted and stuff like that. Yeah.
So they're always cutting corners, and here we are today with just these little hunks of plastic with no articulation and really not much to the toys currently.
All right, so it's not just me. I honestly I look at toys today, especially kind of the consumer market one, and you looked at even the later generation Star Wars stuff, and it's it's all straight armed.
Yeah.
And it's you can kind of move it, and the old Kenner ones, to be fair, like the Obi-Wan Kenobi was kind of janky because it was basically a split down the middle of the robe.
It's true, but what made those lines the same with G.I. Joe and stuff were the accessories and the play sets and the vehicles and all that stuff.
Right.
So, even though the figures weren't all that exciting, but it was the whole line of toys that really took those lines off. I mean, GI Joe is probably one of the coolest as far as vehicles go.
Right.
But yeah, there's so many amazing toys. But as far as the thought and engineering, by far, Transformers was probably one of the coolest.
Oh, Transformers is amazing. There's a great documentary online on Netflix called "The Toys That Made Us." Transformers is featured there.
Yes.
And there's the whole story of there's the engineer who literally like he's a legend in that company because he can make anything transform into a robot.
Yeah.
Right. He can figure out like what panels have to come off and like what struts have to be added, and like that's
Exactly.
his whole job in life is making a robot out of a car. It's
Dude, yeah, it's unreal what went into that, and two, it not only when it would just change from a car to a robot, but you have, 6 changers that would turn into like 6 different things, which was, to me, was kind of mind-boggling. But as a kid, I mean, how cool is that? You know what I mean? But
I always respected the kid that could get Megatron back together. Like if you could get Megatron back together and it felt solid,
Yeah.
that was like the
Yeah.
gauntlet of transforming.
And that's part of the value too. You want the tightness of some of that stuff. You want to hear the little clicking when you move the legs and stuff. But and that adds to the value of those figures.
Speaking of quality and grading, what's the craziest, like jankiest thing that you've ever encountered? Like buried in the dirt for in a yard for 20 years, and then somebody dug it up and brought it to you. Like, do you have any items like that you can recall?
There's tons of them. I mean, well, too, because like even like in Hot Wheels world, there's pink Hot Wheels that are worth so much money, and there's a lot of kids that their mom didn't know and bought them these pink Hot Wheels. Well,
right.
And they're they're the more valuable Hot Wheels today. But what happens is
it's like my mom would buy me the pink one. I'd be all mad about it.
Yeah,
and then later I would find out that it was worth $1 million.
Exactly, exactly. And you find them one of 2 ways. You find them either the boy painted them blue because he didn't want to show up to his friends.
You got the nail polish out. Yeah.
Or they're perfect. The kid hit it and then like never played with it, and you find them like almost perfect. So it's like you get them that way. And then there's been like weird figures, like there was a Gay Bob figure, and I remember some uncle had it, and then this kid ended up with it, and he brought it in. And
which was the figure?
There was a figure in the 70s. It was called Gay Bob, and he came.
Gay Bob.
And he came in a closet.
That's the gay.
And he had like a.
Was he actually like homosexual, or was he just gay happy? Like,
no,
is that the time?
He was out of a catalog, I believe, and I think it was.
I mean, that's really progressive for the time.
Yeah, it was, and he was anatomically correct. It was kind of weird, but yeah, an uncle got it as a joke, and then ended up giving it to this guy, and he never played with it, of course, but yeah, he brought it to the store like a few months ago, and it's kind of hilarious. But every once in a while, those come in.
Right.
Yeah, it was just
those weird ones that you kind of explain.
Weird stuff. Yeah, we get those every once in a while.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. What have you seen at the show here today? And like, are you doing any deal? Are you looking for some stuff? Are you hunting some things down?
All the time, man. There's a guy here with a Hot Wheels collection that wants $70,000. He's parting out his collection. There's some high-end Star Wars, G.I. Joe figures, a lot of 70s, 80s stuff, and then you see all the new era stuff, So of course you'll see the Pops and a lot of the new action figures, but it's pretty exciting. But I usually come a day early to these shows to kind of see what people are unloading out of their trucks and cars and make my deals. So usually
sneak in before anybody else gets a chance.
Usually by the second day, I'm just kind of
relaxing.
I've already bought everything I've wanted. So and then I'm the guy that cleans up at the end of the show. So yeah, if you don't want to take it home. Just bring it to the store. We'll make a deal.
You're the friendly, nice guy. Let me help you with your load on the way back.
Yeah, exactly.
So down at your store, and just kind of we'll leave with this. At the store, you can get. Tell me all the services that you offer. I mean, because you talked about grading and verification and all kinds of stuff that you guys do. If people come into the store, what can they seek from your expertise?
Yeah, we do it all. We don't just do toys. I mean, we're going all over the country. We're handling huge estates. Right now, unfortunately, the baby boomers are getting a little older, and some of these huge collections are coming to market. So we go all over. We help people deal with estates, and we buy huge collections. Also, We have a new movie coming out in April called Psycho's Pass. So I produced that with Noel G from Fast and Furious.
Right.
And then Rampage Jackson. He's the killer in the movie. So
All
that'd
right.
be, we have a red carpet event coming out in April. And that should be, depending on distribution, it should be available in the next 2 months.
I think with your help, we'll try to get Noel on tomorrow, and
Yeah,
we'll talk a
that'd
little
be
bit more about
awesome.
that movie and his
Yeah.
experience with the Fast and the Furious. And some
Love
other
to do
stuff.
that. We got Rob Van Dam about to walk in a few moments. My buddy Felix, he was Cousin It. A ton
Nice.
of wrestling fans here. We got a lot of wrestlers on the lineup. So, and of course, we got Eric Estrada and a lot of the other fun guests.
Yeah, those guys are all signing out right here.
Yeah.
We'll try to get some of those folks in. I mean, it's tricky with Eric Estrada and some of those guys. They're really busy and they're really here to sign for the fans. So if we can, we'll try to sneak them over here. We are going to do a walk around, so we'll come and check out your booth as well.
Definitely. Yeah, come say hello.
And we'll do that a little bit later this afternoon. We'll take the pack off of the panels and we'll throw it back on the shoulder and walk around.
That'd be cool. All right.
But yeah, thanks so much, Johnny, for joining us today, and we'll see you again in the next.
Yeah,
couple days,
definitely. And make it out to ToyCon next year. So this is every year. This is, I think, our 8th or 9th year here in Vegas. So it's pretty exciting. And if you come to Fremont, come see Toy Shack.
Yeah, and just to give you an idea, Toy Shack is awesome. It's one of those places that, honestly, in Las Vegas, I love going into just to walk around and look at stuff. It's almost like a museum of some of the greatest toys and nostalgia that you could ever encounter. I mean, there's animation cells, there's posters, there's all kinds of great stuff. And that's on Fremont Street right under the zip line, the Slotzilla zip line. So you'll find it that way real easy.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Johnny.
Cool.
We'll see you again soon.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you very soon.